You know that feeling when you hand over the biggest check of your life, shake someone's hand, and walk out thinking, okay, I've finally made it. I'm a real adult now. I own something. And then you get home, stand in the kitchen, and realize you'll be paying for this place until you're 63. Here's the thing. I'm not here to tell you that buying a house is stupid. I'm here to tell you that the story most people tell themselves about buying a house is built on math they've never actually run. And that gap right between the story and the math is costing people real money, quietly, for decades. The script goes like this. Renting is throwing money away. Buying builds equity. A house is an investment. Your parents did it, their parents did it, and it worked out fine. I get it. That script is everywhere. It's in family dinners, in your bank's mortgage brochure, in every conversation you've ever had about adulting. But here's what I want to do today. I want to pull that script apart line by line with actual numbers, because when you run the numbers, the picture gets a lot more complicated. Let's start with the throwing money away idea. It sounds so obvious. You pay rent, the money disappears, you own nothing. But look, when you pay a mortgage, where does the money go? In the early years of a 30-year loan, the overwhelming majority of every payment goes to interest, not equity. Interest. You're not building ownership. You're paying the bank for the privilege of borrowing their money, and that interest, gone, thrown away, just like rent. So let's run a real example. Say you buy a home for $500,000, 500 grand. You put down 20%, which is $100,000. You get a mortgage at around 7%. Your monthly payment is roughly $2,600. Oh, just principal and interest. But that's not what homeownership actually costs. Add property taxes, let's say 1.5% a year. That's $7,500 annually, or about $625 a month. Add homeowners insurance, maybe another $150 a month. Add maintenance. And I don't mean if the dishwasher breaks, I mean the rule of thumb most financial planners use, which is 1% of the home's value per year. On a $500,000 house, that's $5,000 a year, or over $400 a month. You're now looking at over $3,700 a month in total costs. Before you've touched a single renovation, before a roof that needs replacing, before the AC unit dies in August. Now compare that to renting the equivalent home for, say, $2,200 a month. The renter saves $1,500 a month. Over a year, that's $18,000. Here's where it gets interesting. That $100,000 down payment. What if the renter had invested it in an index fund instead? Over the last century, the S&P 500 has returned somewhere between 7 and 10% a year after inflation. Let's use 7% to be conservative. In 20 years, that $100,000 becomes roughly $387,000. That's the opportunity cost of the down payment alone. That's money that's sitting there, growing, or in the homeowner's case, money that's locked into a single, illiquid, expensive-to-exit asset. And here's what nobody talks about. When you eventually sell that house, transaction costs will eat 6% right off the top. On a $500 grand home, that's $30,000 gone before you see a cent. Add capital gains considerations if the gain is large enough. Add moving costs. Add the carrying costs if the home sits on the market. Selling a house is expensive. Selling an index fund costs you nothing. I'm Bobby, by the way, and I spend probably too much time running numbers like this because the real estate industry certainly isn't going to run them for you. If this kind of breakdown is useful to you, a subscribe or a like helps me keep doing it, genuinely. Now there's a tool that makes this comparison really fast, and it's called the price-to-rent ratio. You take the purchase price of a home and divide it by the annual rent of a comparable home. If that number is below 15, buying is likely the stronger financial move. Between 15 and 20, it depends heavily on your situation. Above 20, and in many major cities right now, you're looking at ratios of 25, 30, even higher. Renting and investing, the difference is almost certainly the smarter financial play. $500,000 home, $2,200 a month in rent. That's a ratio of about 19, right in the gray zone. The math doesn't automatically favor buying, and in cities where comparable homes rent for $2,500 but sell for $900,000, a ratio of 30. The math is actively pointing away from buying. Now, I want to be honest about something because this doesn't work if I just argue one side. There are real, legitimate reasons to buy. If you know, genuinely know, you're staying somewhere for at least 10 years, the math shifts meaningfully. Transaction costs get amortized, equity builds up in the later years of the mortgage when more of each payment goes to principal, and you stop being exposed to rent increases. If the price to rent ratio in your market is actually favorable, buying can make strong financial sense. And if customization, stability, and putting down roots matter more to you than liquidity, that's a real, valid input into the equation. It just has to be an honest one. But the lifestyle cost is real too, and people undercount it. A house is a part-time job. Something is always breaking, always needing attention, always requiring a decision. Renting isn't just a financial transaction, it's buying time and optionality. The ability to take a job in another city without a 6-month sale process. The ability to not spend a Saturday negotiating with a plumber. That's worth something. Maybe not in dollars, but it belongs in the decision. The dangerous version of this isn't buying a house. It's buying a house because you felt like you were supposed to. Because renting felt embarrassing. Because someone told you it was throwing money away and you never ran the numbers yourself. That cultural script, that's the trap, not homeownership itself. Drop a comment. What's the price to rent ratio in your city right now? So here's where I land. If your ratio is favorable, you're staying for a decade and you've honestly accounted for property taxes, maintenance, insurance, transaction costs, and opportunity cost. Buying can absolutely make sense. But if you're buying because you feel like a renter is somehow losing, run the numbers first. The renter who invests the difference isn't throwing money away. In the right market, in the right circumstances, they're winning the long game quietly, without the weekend maintenance calls and the 30-year commitment. Check the ratio in your market, price divided by annual rent, see where you land. And then make the decision like someone who looked at the math, not like someone following a script they inherited.